Yes, sir. Please start. We are live.
Yeah. So Lakshmi Madam has joined. Not sure.
She has not joined as such.
Okay. Okay. Anyhow, I'll start. So my screen is visible.
Yes, sir. It is visible properly and audible also.
Okay. So good evening to one and all. Today's topic tonight on your practice about pulmonary graphics. The next 1 hour we'll be seeing the salient things about the pulmonary graphics, how to interpret the scalar graphics as well as loops, and how do we interpret it. First and foremost, I'd like to thank all the babies who got delivered in the past 14 years at Institute of Obstetrics and Gynecology, where I'm associated with in the unit for the past 14 years, as well as to the babies who were delivered during my DM program at All India Institute of Medical Sciences. So it's because of the babies I just got an opportunity to learn about neonatology. As well as I'd like to thank my teachers, especially Professor Kumuda Madam, Professor V.K. Paul Sir, and Professor Deorai Sir, along with Tara Sir, Dr. Ratna Madam, and Vijay Kumar Sir. It's because of these people we had the inspiration of joining neonatology, and these are the one who opened our eyes and taught us all the subtle, fine things and tuned us in neonatology. See what happened with days without graphics. Needed astute clinical guessing. The tidal volume delivery pressure applied was not predictable. There was a gas trapping over distension of lungs. And when there was an improving lung compliance, it has to be taken only clinical decision. We don't have any guide. The chances of a pneumothorax, if you're going to decrease the settings later, it takes a longer time. So the chance of intervening events have been more. The old technology development is cumbersome equipments and difficult calibrations of your flow sensor. The newer microprocessor based flow sensor is very user friendly and bedside. Limitations, it might fail to detect very small tidal volumes, and there could be some problems with malfunction due to your humidity. So it gives an objective evaluation of the treatment, as well as it helps in optimizes your ventilatory settings. It helps to elucidate the physiology, felicitates your weaning process, and depicts the misadventures like ET tube leakage, secretions, air trapping. All these things can be picked up by your pulmonary graphics. So why are we so much giving importance to it? We know it decreases your ventilated induced lung injury. The quality of care of the baby can be improved. So the delay in picking of misadventures could be denied and could be picked up early. Customize the settings as per the need of the individual baby. So what are the graphics? So one is a scalar and other one is a loops. In scalar graphics, we have the pressure, volume or flow plotted against time. So we have pressure, volume or flow plotted against time. In loops, we have the pressure plotted against volume and the volume plotted against flow. So we have totally 5, 3 in scalar and 2 in loops. In scalar, we have the pressure, flow and volume against time, and loops you have pressure against volume or volume against your flow. So the basic ventilatory parameters are FiO2, breathing rate, tidal volume and flow. As we all know, the FiO2 ranges between 21 to 100%. The breath rate is the breath per minute. We said the tidal volume is the amount of air delivered during inspiration. It's expressed in ml, and flow is the velocity of glass. It flows across the circuit into the baby per minute. The measured parameters are the flow, pressure and time. These are the real measured parameters. One is flow, one is pressure, other one is time. All the other parameters which are shown in the ventilator are calculated parameters like volume, compliance, resistance, work of breathing, and auto PEEP, all these things are calculated parameters. Just flow, pressure and time are the measured parameters by the ventilator. So what are the ways the measurement of flow happens? You have the differential pneumotachometer or hot-wire anemometer. The most common thing is your hot-wire anemometer. It's used in dragger. Pressure differential pneumotachometer is used in SLE as well as in AVM machines. It's used at the distal proximal sensor. It could be a proximal sensor or it could be a distal sensor. So proximal sensor happens to be at the end of the ventricular tube, or distal sensor happens to be near the ventilatory end. So most of the mechanical ventilators uses now the heated wire anemometer technology. So what is this heated wire anemometer technology? There is a platinum or a tungsten or a platinum iridium wire at the center of the sensor is heated to a fixed temperature. Either it's a tungsten or a platinum iridium wire. The center of the sensor is heated to a fixed temperature. As the gas flows over the wire, there is a cooling of the wire. So additional electricity must be supplied to bring the wire back to this fixed temperature. So once a flow happens, the fixed temperature drops. So additional electricity has to be given to bring it to the normal temperature, fixed temperature. So the amount of current this requires can then be converted into flow or volume signal. This change in temperature can be converted into flow or your volume signals. For bidirectional flow, a second wire can be added. For both inspiratory and expiratory pressures can be measured by the transducer located within the ventilator or through the proximal airway, like a proximal sensor. It can be either in your heated wire anemometer, majority it's use a proximal sensor measurements. So the signals of interest such as flow and pressures are converted by the transducer into electrical analogs. So the instrument is now generally automatically calibrated, and filters and noise filters are removed from this flow sensors as electrical analogs. The noise filters are removed. It's converted into a digital format processing and sent to the computer data for analysis. So end result, the computer presents in the form of a beautiful waves we can see. The transducer is also referred to as a sensor. It should have a minimal dead space. Next comes a scalar graphics mechanical breadths. We have discussed that either it's a pressure versus time, it's volume versus time, or a flow versus time. So in the pressure versus time, the x-axis is nothing but your time, and your y-axis is your pressures. So here we see the inspiration starts not from the zero, from above the baseline. So in the peak, that is nothing but your PEEP end expiratory pressure. If you are going to give a PEEP as 0, so your pressure wave will start down this 0 line along the x-axis. Since we give a PEEP of 3 or 4, it starts at whatever. Or if you're going to give a PEEP of 4 or 5, it starts with the pressure of 4 or 5. And then comes your inspiration. In comes your PEEP, in comes your inspiration. The maximum point it reaches is called as a peak inspiratory pressure. Peak inspiratory pressure. The time between the onset or the initiation of the pressure to rise above the until it reaches a peak inspiratory pressure is your TI. It's your inspiratory time. The time from the onset, from the breath pressures to increase beyond your PEEP up to the time to reach the maximum inspiratory pressure is your TI time. During this time is your inspiratory time. And beyond this is your expiratory time where the pressure falls. Okay. So ventilated during inspiration TI, the PEEP goes, the PEEP increases, and then what happens? When it comes to TE, your pressure, the pressure what you're going to give is going to be your lesser. So what happens inside the lungs? Inside the lungs, the pressure has been higher. For example, you're setting a pressure of 20. Initially, the lungs pressure would have been 5. The PEEP pressure would have been 5. The lung pressure would have been 5. When you give the pressure, so it raises the pressure, increases until it reaches a pressure of 20. Once it reaches a pressure of 20, it stays, and then until the TI is there, it stays there, and then after the particular TI period, it starts falling down in case of a time cycle ventilator. So until the TI, your pressure is there, and then comes your TE. So at TE, the inspiratory pressure is going to be your I. At the end of TI, your lung pressure is going to be around some 20. So expiratory pressure is PEEP. So it always air flows always from the higher pressure to lower pressure. So from inside, it starts moving. So in the pressure versus time graphics, you can see the peep starting. Inspiration, it rises until your TI, it reaches the peak inspiratory pressure reaches, it's called as TI period, and then comes your expiratory phase. This is a snapshot view of graphics taken from a AVR ventilator, where the first one is nothing but your pressure versus time graphics. This is the flow versus time, and the last one is your volume versus time. You can see the inspiration, peak inspiratory pressure, and then your TE and expiratory pressure starts. Okay. So the TE until the next breath of inspiration is that. TI is up to the maximum, then comes a TI. Throughout the expiration also it's a TE until your next inspiratory breath happens, that is your TE period. Okay. So anatomy of the pressure waveform. So that area under the curve below the PIP as well as your PEEP is nothing but your mean airway pressure. So we know the formula for mean airway pressure is PIP into TI plus PEEP into TE divided by TI plus TE. So increasing your PIP or PEEP or TI or decreasing your T or your TE, changes in your TE is going to increase your mean airway pressure. So the mean airway pressure is represented by the area under the curve shaded area in a single waveform. So this is PIP period, P period. The entire area under the curve is nothing but your mean airway pressure is decided by your PIP, PEEP, TI, and a small amount of your rate also can have change in your mean airway pressure. So in spontaneous respiration, what happens is there is a negative flow during inspiration, and expiration there is a positive flow. The reverse happens in a mechanical ventilator, where we push the positive breathers from outside to inside during the inspiration. So this is a comparison of your inspiration and expiration in a spontaneously breathing kid or in a mechanically ventilated kid. That is the reason in case of assist control breaths, you will have a negative flick here and when the baby starts breathing. So in a CMA mode, in a pressure versus time loop, you will get a curve like this. Whereas in case of assist control mode, you will get a negative flick or a spontaneous trigger breath. Once the trigger sets, then you have the inspiration starting. Okay. So mechanical breath, as you have seen, this is the entire phase is inspiration, and beyond the period is expiration, and the maximum point reaches here for peak inspiratory pressures. So as we discussed here earlier, if we take this an example of the settings of around 20 by 4 settings, we are just note a change in pressure waveform by increasing the pressures. So area under the curve increases by increasing your pressure. We know map is dependent upon your PIP, map is dependent upon your PEEP, map is dependent on TI, map is dependent on your rate and TE also. So it increases by increasing your positive peak inspiratory pressure. So this third wave, it's based on by increasing your PEEP. So the PEEP was close. It's close to around some 4 to 5. It's been increased to 8. So you can see the area under the curve has increased more when you increase your PEEP as compared to increasing your PIP. So always the mean airway pressure increases more by increasing the PEEP as compared to the PIP, right? So the presentation of map is more by a PEEP rather than compared to your PIP. The more you raise the PEEP, the more it's going to be raised in your mean airway pressure. More PIP also raises, but not as compared to PEEP. PEEP produces a very significant increase in your mean airway pressure. So what happens in increase your TI? So TI, initially we saw a sinusoidal form of wave in the previous one. You can see somewhat squaring up of wave if it increases your TI. So what happens? The inspirator rises, it reaches, and then since the TI is prolonged, it maintains that for a time until the time of set TI period in case of a time cycle ventilation, and then starts your expiratory phase. So by increasing your TI, your area under the curve increases, your mean airway pressure increases overall. So this is the last parameter we generally don't use by increasing the rate, right? By increasing the rate, we don't produce a change. But area under the curve can be also altered by changing your rates. But that's the last parameter we touch in case of a with regards to changing your settings. Able to move my cursor. Sorry, got stuck. Yes. Okay, this is called as a plateau pressure. By prolonging the inspiratory time by using this inspiratory hold, sometimes we use inspiratory hold or giving a long TI, you make the phase of your inspiratory phase, the peak of inspiratory phase for a longer time. It is also a plateau pressure, but that's going to cause you a barotrauma by increasing your pressures by prolonging them. That's going to cause a barotrauma. So this is how the breaths are there in assist under control. So you know that the spontaneous inspiration, it's a negative breath. So inspiration, a negative breath triggers, and then assist control mode is a patient triggered ventilation. It senses your inspiration. It tries to synchronize all your inspirative breaths along with inspiration, and your assisted breath of your setting delivered. Whereas in control, irrespective of the breath of the baby, the control breaths are going to be given for the settings. Okay, this is the difference between a assisted and a control breath, which we can see in a pressure versus time graphics on the settings based on the mode of ventilation. Next comes your pulmonary graphics is volume versus time. See, in pressure versus time, in volume versus time, in flow versus time, time is plotted in your x-axis and your pressure, volume and flow are plotted in the y-axis. When it comes to volume versus time, during the TI period, it starts rising until it reaches your inspirated tidal volume. Until the time period of TI, it goes to the peak, which is your inspirated tidal volume. And then during the phase of expiration, it falls. So this graph always starts in 0 because you don't have any peak. It starts with 0 volume. So it starts with 0 volume, slowly rises until it reaches your set tidal volume or the maximum tidal volume which you have set, and then comes your expiratory phase. In case of a time cycle ventilator, it's going to be your until the TA period, it starts rising until it reaches the maximum volume. In the flow versus time pulmonary graphics, yeah. So I'll show the ventilator based. This is the ventilator based as well as this is one is a breath. Yes. Okay. So what happens? The flow happens if because of flow during inspiration there should be a positive flow from outside to outside to inside because the pressure inside the lung is less. So air starts going from outside to inside, generates the pressure during inspiration. So inspiration, it has a positive flow, and we'll discuss about where you get a sinusoidal, where you get a squaring in close of flow versus time graphics. So it goes to the positive, and then PSV mode of ventilation, where from inspiration drops straight away to a expiratory phase. This happens in a PSV mode of ventilation. So we'll be discussing more the next few slides. It comes to the thing. In case of in case of time cycle ventilation, you have an inspiration and then it starts coming down, and then we have something like an inspiratory whole phase will be there, and then it comes to your expiration is going to be there. So this is about your flow versus time. In spontaneous breaths, you don't have a plateau, you have a rounded even inspiration, and there is a negative flow, and at the end of expiration, it goes to reaches the baseline at the end of expiration. Okay, so this flow has two important phases. Okay, so first one is the A phase. So you'll have a maximum flow happening at the time. So flow accelerating phase happens in this A phase. Okay, so it has to regenerate, it has to move very fast to generate that pressures, to generate that volume. So maximum flow is going to be there. So it is a maximum flow, accelerating flow, it's going to be there in the A phase. And reaches your peak inspiratory pressure time. And then flow decelerates. And then the flow decelerates at the C level, and come back to 0. And come back to your 0. Something similarly is your expiration. E is your accelerated expiratory flow phase. Flow is your maximum expiratory flow limit, maximum expiratory pressure limit, and then comes your accelerated and decelerated or a slow expiratory flow rate. So the flow has a accelerated phase, as well as a decelerated phases during inspiration. It has an accelerated phase and a decelerated phase during expiration. So initial phase, when it's supposed to rise very fast, it has an accelerated phase. And then when it reaches your peak pressures, there is a slow fall in your inspiratory flow. That is called a deceleration phase of our inspiratory flow. And then in the active part of your expiration, there is a fast expiratory flow is going to be there, such that your pressure starts dropping. And then when it reaches your peak expiratory pressure, speed end of expiration reaches, it goes for a slow deceleration phase. This is very important in case of a 4 phase of accelerating inspiratory flow, decelerating inspiratory flow, accelerating inspiratory flow, and decelerating expiratory flow. So this is the inspirated time. This is the inspirated time where you get your peak inspiratory flow rate reaches your beginning of expiration valve. This happens in the beginning of expiratory valve, where expiration starts happening, where the flow starts. What happens in PSV mode? It identifies once the baby's pressure, set pressure is reached, the flow starts happening. Once your set pressure is generated, the flow starts stopping, and then flow starts decelerating. Once the inspiratory flow comes to about 5 to 25% of a peak inspiratory flow, then the cycle changes in case of a flow cycle mode of ventilation. In TI, it's not bothered about that until the TI time is there, the pressures are going to be there, the flow is going to be there until the TI period. Whereas in flow cycle, what happens? Once it reaches, and it's like a sinusoidal pattern. It will be like sinusoidal pattern. It reaches the peak and then starts falling. Once it reaches, it starts falling. Once it's falling, the cycling happens based upon the flow. When the pressure starts falling to 5-25%. We ventilators are set between some 5-20% of flow. It starts dropping density flow. It changes over to expiration. Okay. So in time cycle ventilator, the deceleration pose of the inspiratory flow waves come down all the way to the baseline. So we have a accelerator phase, deceleration phase. It comes to the baseline, and then you have time period until the TA is over. It's there. And then comes your expiratory, active expiratory flow and decelerating expiratory flow. This happens in case of your time cycle ventilation. In your flow cycle ventilation, what happens? Your accelerated expiratory flow is there, and then when your inspiratory flow starts dropping to up to approximately 15 to 20%, some settings are 10 to 15 to 20%, 15 to 20% of your termination sensitivity, what I say. So it comes to that of inspiratory flow, there it comes your expiratory cycle starts, and you don't have something which is lies on your zero line. Either the curve straight away falls from inspiration to your accelerated expiratory phase, and then slow expiratory phase happens, then reaches the baseline, and then comes your inspiratory phase. So in time cycle ventilation, the decelerating portion inspiratory flow comes all the way down, all the way to the baseline, stays for some time, and then comes your expiration. Until TA is there, but no flow will be there. Okay, zero flow will be there. Whereas in pressure support ventilation, once the inspirator reaches, inspirator flow starting to 20 to 30%, 15 to 20% of inspirator flow is there, then your cycling happens. That happens in case of a flow cycle ventilation. So the sinusoidal pattern of wave is characteristic of your pressure targeted ventilation. So once it reaches pressure target ventilation, what happens is it reaches your maximum pressure, and then starts falling down here. Whereas in a volume targeted ventilation, both these things are time cycle, right? Both are time cycle. In a pressure target ventilation, it reaches, and then once the pressure reaches, then it starts falling down target ventilation. Until the TA is there, it's going to be there. It's going to deliver that. But you have a sinusoidal pattern of wave in case of a pressure targeted ventilation. Whereas in volume targeted ventilation, the flow is going to be plateau. So the volume targeted ventilation, the flow is going to be a plateau phase, a peak inspiratory flow. It's going to be a plateau range. It's going to maintain under period of TI. It's going to maintain there, and then it's going to go for your expiratory flow. Okay. So newer ventilators provide this special devices are available for the accelerating or decelerating this volume waveforms are available in certain devices. Okay, the current ventilators have this mode for rapid rise, for sinusoidal rise. Flow form we can set a sinusoidal waveform. We can for it flow will be initially be very fast. If you're setting, it's going to be a thing. It can be very fast. Initial flow can be very fast, causing a beaking or double lump in case of a pressure wave. That I'll be speaking in the next way. Okay. So if you want a square wave to be happening in a flow that is possible in case of volume target ventilation, a sinusoidal pattern is there in a pressure targeted ventilation. Okay, so the pulmonary waveforms, the pressure, here is a line A, B, C and D. A point is nothing but represents the starting of inspiration. B point is nothing but a peak of inspiration in a pressure, volume and flow versus time graphics. The C point is nothing but the end of inspiration. It's nothing but your end of expiration. End of flow comes, end of expiration. The flow, inspiration comes down, end of expiration. And D, it's a start of expiration. And D point is the end of expiration. A is initiation of inspiration, peak of inspiration, beginning of expiration, and end of expiration. If I move this, it's not. Sorry, excuse me. Good. Next comes your loops. We've been seeing a scalar graphics, pressure versus time, volume versus time, flow versus time. Now we are going to see your loops. The loops are two types. One is pressure volume loops, and other one is, first you'll see the pressure volume loops. So in pressure volume loops, you're going to see normal, what is the changes can be seen, how to identify excessive PIP, how to identify the optimal positive end expiratory pressure, how to detect clinically or from the graphics of inverter and PEEP when the baby has low complaints, how to identify the baby has low complaints, what do you see in inadequate flow, and how do you see the spontaneous breaths. So pressure volume loops, the pressure is plotted in the x-axis and the volume is plotted in the y-axis. The volume is plotted in the y-axis. Okay, the volume is plotted in the y-axis. Here we can see there is this x-axis. You are raising the pressure. Example, let us take this point as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up to 5, we can see the amount of the change in the pressure as change in the volume. Okay. After this particular point, then there is a rise or dramatic increase in the volume for the increase in pressure. Then you increase your pressure more, the change in volume is more. So you have this point called as inflection points, right? Inflection points. It's upper inflection, lower inflection point and upper inflection point. So since the graphics here we have seen it's always showing in the starting from zero. But you always, a baby on a ventilator, you are going to give a PEEP. So the waves always start from this point, from the pressure place where we are giving, right? It starts from 4, not from 0. We never give a PEEP of 0 on a ventilator. So the loop will start from a point where the PEEP is set in. For example, PEEP is 4, it starts from 4. If PEEP is 5, it starts from 5. And then your inspiration. It's a lower inflection point and deflection point is other things. So this is the inspiratory phase. It reaches your maximum thing. This is the peak inspiratory pressure. This is the peak inspiratory pressure. For that, how much volume is generated. Beyond that, if you're going to increase, the amount of the change in volume is going to be less for the increase in pressure. So this is the ideal thing. Beyond which, if you're going to increase, there's not going to be much of change in volume for the increase in pressure. So up to a particular point, we have seen that the change in volume is less until it reaches a particular PEEP level. Then it starts opening up, then it fills, then it fills, then it fills. And when you reach the maximum expansion of a lung, the increase in your pressure further will not produce an increase in change in your volume. And then comes your expiratory phase. This is a dynamic and elastic work. So A is the inspiratory, is a resistive work, and B is a elastic component which works in the work of breathing. You know, the A component is the elastic work of the lung, and B is the resistive peripheral resistance and expiration happens in the lung component. So lower inflection point is the point at which beyond which it starts opening. Once it reaches your FRC, functional residual capacity, then zoop, it starts opening. You have to reach a minimum volume to open out the lung. and beyond that it starts opening nicely, expands nicely, and then the upper inflection point. After this, it always starts dropping beyond this particular point in the upper inflection point. So over distension. So nowadays, the newer ventilators comes with the software which calculates the ratio of the last 20 percentage of this compliance curve, right? So it calculates the ratio between the compliance of the last 20 percentage with the overall compliance of the lung. So normally, ideally, it should be, if you're taking a linear line, the ratio should be 1:1 if it's properly expanded. So if it's not, the compliance for the last 20 part is not changing much. It's less than 1. That means you're over expanding the lungs. Okay, it's over expanding the lungs. Okay, the last 20 parts should also be more than 1. That's less than 1. That means we're giving over pressures, and the change in the pressure is not producing any change in the volume. This is like a penguin's beaking of a thing that happens. You can see in this picture there's a beaking penguin beak. So by just increasing the pressures, a pulmonary artery pressure, by increasing the PEEP is not going to play much of a role. So determining the optimum PEEP. So how do you identify the optimum PEEP? This pressure loop demonstrates a poor compliance. Note the side-lying appearance. So what happens is, it's almost close to your x-axis. It's close. It almost close to your, this line is almost close to your x-axis, right? So once you start applying your adequate PEEP, then it starts opening nicely. Okay. So up to a particular PEEP, it's always close to the ground. It's close to 0. Okay. We increase from 2, increase from 3, then 4, and then once you start increasing adequate PEEP, this lung happens to be a wholly compliant lung because of a RDS, and the change in pressure, by just increasing the pressure, doesn't produce a much change in the volume up to a particular level. It is just flattened. It is just close to your x-axis. Once you adequate your PEEP, then it starts opening up and the curves moves towards your y-axis. The small change in x-axis, small change in pressure produce a dramatic change in your volume. So this next graph also determines the optimum PEEP, increasing the PEEP here. Here what happens is we are giving a PEEP. Determining the optimum PEEP and increasing the PEEP and concomitantly the PEEP normalizes the configuration of the pressure volume loop and improves your compliance. So here you can see its PEEP is moved up to 5. Here the PEEP has been up to 2 or 3. So initially the waves are close to the x-axis, falling down. As the compliance improves, the curve starts moving up. So in case if you're giving excessive pressure, you will be having a beaking, as well as you'll be having a straightening of this curve here around this area. Okay, you will have an excessive beaking between the pressures, PEEP excessive, and the deflection point, it takes a longer time to fall down. You'll have a straight line in case of excessive pressures. So the pressure volume demonstrating hyperinflation. Note the flat portion of the volume curve arrow. So much less volume is recruited over the last few increments in pressure. So by increasing the pressure, one, you get a beaking. Before that, you get a straightening line. That is, here itself, for a pressure of around 15, you get a volume change of 12. For a change of 17, you get a volume change of 12. For 18, you get a volume change of 12. For 20, you get a volume change of 12. If you're going to get for 25, it will be the same 12, but it will have a more of beaking. So earlier, you're going to have a straightening, flattening of the volume curve is going to be there in case of a hyperinflation. Okay, so you start with the PEEP. Start with the PEEP, the lower inflection point. Then comes your maximum peak inspirated pressure. This volume is the tidal volume in the y-axis, and then comes your lower deflection point, and the expiratory phase happens in case of a pressure volume loop. So disease lung is a peak, it's close to your x-axis. Normal lung, and it's a increased compliance lung. It's moving towards a small change in pressure, dramatic change in the volume. So it's increased compliance, small change in the pressure, very slow decrease in your, very small increase in your increments in your volume. That means your lung is very, very poor, decreased compliance. That happens in RDS. Once you give surfactant, you can see the lung shifting back towards your y-axis. This graph shifting more towards your y-axis from the below the 45 degrees. Usually we take this 45 degrees as a normal angle. If you below your 45 degrees, at a 45 degrees is normal, and above thing is your increased compliance happens in the baby. So you can see the dramatic change after surfactant. You can see the increase in your tidal volume and the compliance of the lungs. So sometimes we get in the pulmonary pressure volume graphics, we get something called as a figure of 8. So at the level, so what happens is there is an inspiration, and at the end of the inspiration expiration, there is a twisting like a figure of 8. Okay, so this means the flow is inadequate. It's something equivalent to your flow starvation, air hunger. The flow which you are giving is less. In some ventilators, we need to set your flow, right? For example, dragger, we need to calculate your flow and set your flow for baby. In some modes like TCPL and AVIA, we need to set the flow. If you're going to set the flow at a lesser flow, so what happens? The baby is not going to get the adequate amount of flow. If the flow is not there, the pressure which you set is not going to be generated, and the baby will be having a suffocation, right? The baby will be having air hunger. The baby will be breathing fast, breathing for air. And it can be identified in your loops, right? You can get a figure of 8 appearance at the end of your inspiratory phase. It starts happening. It means your flow is flow starvation, air hunger is there. You just need to increase your flow. So you can get this figure of 8. You can see, right? Figure of 8 appearance is going to be there. It's going to be a inadequate flow. Next loops you're going to see is your flow versus volume. So we have seen 3 scalar. One is pressure, flow, and volume versus time. And the loops we have seen is pressure, volume loop. The second loop is going to be a flow versus volume, pressure volume and flow volume. So what are we going to see in the flow volume loop is what are the normal, abnormal things. How do you identify tube leakage? To identify the auto trapping or auto peep. How do you identify the increased resistance for expiration, and how do you identify the secretions in flow volume curve? Okay. So flow volume as your inspiratory component and your expiratory component. So the x-axis happens to be a volume. The x-axis happens to be a volume, and y-axis your flow liters per minute. Okay. So the x-axis is the maximum tidal volume, your peak inspiration, your peak inspiratory flow rate, and then when it reaches the maximum tidal volume, then comes to your expiration. It's your peak expiratory flow rate, and it returns to your baseline. This starts with 0, and the flow starts at 0 during inspiration. There's going to be increased flow, maintenance and flow during inspiration. The volume is there, and then it reaches the tidal volume until inspire time, and then comes your expiration. It reaches your maximum peak expiratory flow rate, and then comes your 0 baseline. So what happens with the air leak? So air leak happens in your expiratory phase of your cycle. Okay, so air leak could be secondary to your smaller size tube happening, putting in your endotracheal tube. So there could be an air leak. So inspiration, high flow is going, high pressures are generated. So obviously what happens is you are not able to pick up anything from the baseline. Whereas during expiration, the flow is going to be somewhat lesser, and this is not going to reach your baseline. It's not going to reach your 0. Okay, so what happens is during expiration phase, this expiratory phase, it's shots, 4 shots, even 4 shots into the y-x-axis 0, even before here. Okay, it closes before here. So there you have a phase, you have a gap appearing before the 0.0. So the x-axis from the in the x-axis, the inspiratory phase is normal. You don't get any abnormality in case of an air leak. Whereas in y-axis, it ends yearly. Okay, in case of a air leak. What happens in air trapping? It reaches never returns to baseline. Okay, there is some amount of auto peep generated. Some amount of air is generated in your lungs. Some amount. This is the inspiratory phase. In expiratory phase, And what happens in air trapping? The air, some amount of air is going to be collected inside your lungs. It generates an auto PEEP. So some amount of air is going to be there. So this expiratory curve phase never reaches your central point. It never returns to your baseline of starting. Okay. So there will always be some amount of air left. So in air leak, there is going to be a foreshortening ending very early. In air trapping, it never does not returns to baseline. Okay. What happens in case of a increased airway resistance? Okay. So increased airway resistance, there is a problem with your expiratory phase, right? There is a problem with your expiratory phase. In expiration, the spasm is going to be there. It doesn't reach your peak expiratory flow rate. Your peak expiratory point is going to come down, and it's going to reach to your baseline. There is no air trapping, and it doesn't foreshort just in like an air leak. There's going to be a scooped out pattern. So in airway resistance, what happens? Just like a BPD baby having a bronchospasm, what happens is your peak expiratory flow rate starts down, the curve size comes down, and there's going to be a scalloping. If there is an air trapping, what happens? It will never reach the baseline. If there is an air leak, it's going to end foreshort early. Here there will be a scalloping reaching your baseline in case of your airway resistance. So airway resistance we expect in terms of your expiratory phase. So in case if there is a tracheal obstruction, okay, if there is a tracheal vascular ring obstructing the tracheal obstruction, you will have a compression of your inspiration. So inspiration will be coming down. Inspiratory curve will start bending down. The area will be lesser if there is a obstruction in your inspiration. In case of a tracheobronchomalacia also, we can have a shortening of size of both inspiration as well as your expiration. The curve of peak inspiratory flow rate will come down as well as your peak expiratory flow rate will come down in case of tracheomalacia. In case of tracheal ring, your peak inspiratory flow rate will be lesser. Okay. In a patient who develop resistance, your inspiratory peak inspiratory work is very good, but expiratory flow rate is lesser. Okay. Expiratory flow rate is lesser. So the same patient in response to an antibiotic. So same patient which responds to antibiotic, what happens is there could be your the scooping out has come down, the resistance has come down, the peak expiratory flow rate is improved for the baby. Okay. So we have seen the scooping out pattern and returning to the baseline, right? Here you can see there's a forending. So there could be a yearly shortening here. So yearly shortening, there could be some amount of air leak in this baby, right? So increased airway resistance can also be identified in your flow versus time scalar graphics. So what happens? So increased expiratory resistance diminishes the slope of decelerating expiratory flow. So we know this is active inspiratory flow, slow inspiratory flow, accelerating expiratory flow, and decelerating expiratory flow. This time, the TE gets prolonged. So increased expiratory resistance diminishes the slope of a descending expiratory flow waveform, increasing the time to reach the baseline. So expiration is going to be difficult. It takes a longer time to reach the baseline. So expiratory phase could be prolonged in case of resistance. You can identify the flow time. So expiratory flow, the decelerating expiratory flow time period is going to get prolonged. It takes a longer time to reach the thing. So airway secretions majority you can identify in case of your expiratory phase of your flow versus volume graphics or loops. You can see your serrated appearance, secretion jigsaw appearance in case of your expiratory limb. So endotracheal tube, even though we have seen how does the endotracheal tube appear in case of a flow volume loop, we are going to see how it's going to appear in each and every graphics. Okay. So air leaks. This is an artifact. So you can see in case of a pressure versus volume graphics, you can see from the inspiration starts, inspiratory lower inflection point, maximum inspiratory pressures. Beyond that, it's going to go for expiration. Beyond that's going to be a beaking, and then comes your lower upper inflection point, and then suddenly it drops. So it comes to your base. This is actually the straight line is nothing but an artifact seen in case of a artifact seen in given by the ventilator. So this abruptly it comes down at a particular point, and then there's no change for the volume or the change in pressure because it's happening leaping in the distal end between thing. So this straight line which is happening, it happens in an air leak, is nothing but a artifact appearance in a ventilator given by the ventilator machine. So air leaks. The air leaks in a flow versus trigger ventilator. So air leaks, what happens is, what do you get? There is a leak in liters per minute. This is, as an inspirated, accelerated inspiratory flow, decelerating inspiratory flow, accelerated expiratory flow, decelerating expiratory flow. There's a leak in liters per minute. If this phase is prolonged, we know that there's a problem with that is the bronchospasm, right? That is a bronchospasm. So leak, what happens is this is raised above the thing. So it has compensates. Flow has to compensate the leak, the flow, extra flow has to compensate for this amount of loss. So you have most of the ventilators, you have a compensation fraction up to 25 to 50% is the compensation given by most of the ventilators. So they will have a extra flow. They never reaches your expression, never reaches your baseline. It's above the thing. So extra flow is going to be there in your expiratory phase. Leakage is going to be there, which is identified by the trigger. So it is raised. Leak is identified in a flow trigger ventilation. So air leak in a pressure volume loop, we have seen it as at the end of your expiration, you have an artifact straight line arising in an air leak. In case of air leak, in case of a flow versus time graphics, you can see the flow which is raised above the baseline. Normally it is in the zero line. Excessive flow has to compensate for the leakage. In case of your flow versus volume loops, you can see it's four-ending. Air leak is going to be four-ending. It touches your baseline before the 0 point, before the 0 point. Okay, it foreshots ends before, which is your baseline before in air leak. Large endotracheal tube, the expiratory portion of the flow pattern fails to reach the origin. It foreshortens ends yearly. It's a leak. Just changing the tube will serve the purpose. So autocycling can happen due to various reasons. If the tube size is not adequate, if there is an excessive leak happening in the tube, okay, so the amount of flow is more, the sensor will pick out the leak of the amount of flow coming from the leak during every breath as an excessive breath and start autocycling. If there are excessive secretions happening in the tube, okay, that will also trigger, it goes about your trigger sensitivity rate, that also will be sensed as a breath, and it will start giving breathing. So this is called as an autocycling. In this autocycling, we can see these are all artifacts actually. During the volume, you can see tidal volume, what happens in the volume, rise and fall, right? Here there is no expiratory volume at all. These this yellow lines are artifacts. This is your line for your inspiratory and inspiratory volume. That's obviously it should come rise like this and fall. See, all the waves are the similar pattern without a pause. Okay, and this without a pause. As volume, there is no expiratory volume at all. This is classical of autocyclic, similar pattern of thing, which can happen in the case of an air leak or there are secretions in a thing. Okay. Air trapping. So what happens in air trapping? You set a PEEP of 4. Okay. But if the wave starts at 6, you know that that's auto PEEP, right? That's auto air trapping happening. Okay. You set for example, when you're 20 by 4. So here it's 20. Here it starts with 4. But it starts at 6. That means there's an auto PEEP. There's auto PEEP generated. It starts with PEEP. This is a sign of a leakage. Straight line is a sign of leakage. Okay. So how does air trapping happen? In a flow versus volume. So the air trapping, the PEEP doesn't return to your baseline start of origin. It always never returns to the baseline of origin. Okay. There is a air trapping in your expiratory phase of your flow versus volume graphics. Okay. There is amount of volume of air is going to be there. Amount of volume residual air is going to be there. Okay. And even though the flow returns to baseline, some amount of volume of air is going to be inside your lungs. So some amount of PEEP, right? So this is your inspiration PEEP, this is your expiratory phase PEEP. So normal pattern and reaches to the baseline. So what happens in expiration? There is an auto PEEP generated. So some amount of the air is, or some amount of PEEP is there. So the PEEP is generated there, it's already there. In the expiratory phase, some amount of PEEP is there, right? Some amount of PEEP is there. What happens in leak? It goes above the baseline. The dead flow, it has to be compensated. Extra flow has to go. So this line will be above the baseline. Auto PEEP, the PEEP is generated. The flow is reached at this level itself. So it's below the thing. Hand trapping. So gas trapping, what happens is the expiratory, the slower expiratory phase is below your line. Okay. Some amount of auto PEEP is going to keep it there. The pressure is there. Secretions, you can see in the flow pattern, as well as wherever you get the flow, you get it actually. Volume and flow will show a change actually. So in the flow pattern, you can get serrated appearance of secretions, as well as in your flow versus volume graphics, you can get in the inspiratory phase as an expiratory phase. Usually it's seen in the expiratory phase. In inspiratory phase also it appears. In the inspiratory phase it can appear. In expiratory phase also it can appear in the pulmonary graphics. So this is the pulmonary overshoot mechanism. So what happens is a pulmonary overshoot. So if the rise time produces an excessive flow rate during pressure control or in a pressure support ventilation, the pressure overshoot is also known as ringing. Okay. In the flow waveform, we can see it as a bump. Okay. This happens in a pressure support or pressure control. In order to achieve that PIP, the flow is going to be very fast in the initial phase, in the accelerator phase. Okay. So this will present in the form of a bump in the case of in the form of a flow, or it could be a double, like, or it's called as a ringing. It's called as a ringing in case of a pressure versus time scalar. In flow time scalar, you can have you'll get an inspiration, it will come down like this. In a PSV state, it falls down actually. But where we get a ump in this case, in case of a PSU mode. This happens more in a pressure support mode of ventilation when the pressure set is very high. So sudden rise and flow is going to be there. So this can be adjusted by, there are some newer ventilators, the rise time can be adjusted. In rise time, you can adjust, rise time should be sinusoidal pattern, you can set it. So by doing that, you can avoid this sudden rise in your inspiratory flow in babies. So more this it always serves. Okay. The mode of ventilation, I just touch upon the IME, SME, and assist control mode. So in a control mode, there is no spontaneous breaths happening here. So irrespective of whether baby breathes or not, mandatory inspiration and expiration is going to happen. This is what I'm giving graphics in case of the loop of a pressure versus volume loop. Whereas in assist control mode, there will be a trigger. Something PSU also will have the same thing. There will be a trigger. Here in SME also will have a trigger. Trigger sense it, then you will have an inspiratory phase, and then comes the expiratory phase. In a spontaneously breathing, you will have an inspiration and expiration always the same. So there will be a trigger at the point. If there is a increased work of breathing, inadequate sensitivity, so you have to adjust the trigger to identify it. So trigger sensitivity is there. It varies between 0 to 1. You have to set the threshold for the trigger sensitivity. The trigger sensitivity is very minimal, so all the breaths will be accepted. The trigger sensitivity is pretty high, right? Pretty high. So it might not detect the breaths, or it might not detect the breaths, because even small phase of breath might not be picked up. The trigger sensitivity is very less. The flow change is going to be a few ml, lower threshold of trigger sensitivity. So even small amount of breath which the baby is going to move around, the flow sensor will be picked up and that breath will be supported, right? If you are keeping a very high trigger sensitivity, so what will happen, whatever breaths the baby is making, the ventilator will not take into account of the baby's breath rate, and irrespective of baby's breath rate, it will start giving a breaths. Okay, so this is identifying thing. Based adjusting the trigger sensitivity, we can alter the work of breathing. Effects of cycling. We have seen the slide already. In time cycling, in inspiration, you get inspiratory flow, peak inspiratory flow, and your slower expiratory flow, slower respiratory flow. Then you will have a time until the TA. You will have this flow will cease and be in the baseline for some time until the TA is over, and then comes your accelerated expiratory flow and your decelerated expiratory flow. It holds for some time. You know, when there's a leak, this line is going to go above like this. If there is air trapping, on top of it, this line is going to be below this, right? And if there is a spasm, this line is going to get prolonged. It takes a longer time to reach your baseline. Okay. In a flow cycle ventilation, your accelerated inspiratory flow is going to be there, and then when the termination sensitivity reaches around 10 to 25% of the inspiratory flow, it goes for expiration. Irrespective, you don't take the TA is the TA of the baby. Once the TA of the baby, based on the TA of the baby, once it's going to come down, the expiratory phase starts, the accelerated expiratory flow happens, and then your decelerated expiratory phase happens and comes to your baseline. This happens in case of a flow cycle ventilation. So this pressure upper panel, flow middle panel, and volume recording during the change from your assist control to your pressure support ventilation. So you know the TA of the baby is TA in case of pressure support ventilation is decided by the baby. In assist control, we know the TA is set by the us. Okay, so in assist control mode, PIP is set by us, PEEP is set by us, TA is set by us. We set the backup rate, but the rates are decided by the baby. So how much ever breath is there, the baby is going to get that breath. Okay, we just set a backup rate in course of assist control mode. In PSV, what happens? PIP we set, PEEP we set, rate is decided by the baby, as well as your TA is decided by the baby. So TI is decided by the baby in PSV, whereas TA is decided by us in assist control mode. We know the baby's TA is going to be lesser when compared to the TA of your settings what we make. So what happens impact of TA? Your area under the curve is pretty high in case of your assist control mode when compared to your PSV mode. So you can see the area under the curve is bigger in assist control mode. Biologically, you can explain that your mean area pressure could be slightly high because your TA is slightly more in your assist control mode when compared to your flow control, when compared to your pressure support ventilation. What happens to the flow? You see the accelerated inspiratory flow, which is your peak inspiratory flow. Then comes your deceleration of inspiratory flow, comes to your baseline until your TA holds for some time, and then comes your peak expiratory flow, and then comes your peak expiratory flow, which is your peak expiratory flow, and then your decelerated expiratory flow happens, comes to your baseline slowly. This is your assist control mode. In PSV flow, you know that inspiration, peak inspiratory flow, then comes your termination sensitivity, goes for expiration straight away. There is no pace in the inspiratory hold. So this is the thing which you can see when it changes from your assist control mode to your PSV mode of ventilation. So this has been explaining multiple times. From inspiration, expiratory flow comes here. If there is air trapping, what happens is going to be, this line will be here. If there is leak, it's going to be here. Okay. If it's a volume guaranteed, PSV with VG you make, this curve sinusoidal pattern will be a somewhat, this sinusoidal pattern somewhat will be a square pattern. More will be seen AC with the VG we can be able to see. So one can learn a lot while watching graphics display like an ECG or EBG prints. And I see what the mind knows. Mind should know what and where to look for with eyes, right? That's most important. So without knowing anything, you will not see anything. Everything will be in front of us. Without knowing anything, we will not be watching out or looking out for things. Thank you. So I think I have finished promptly on time. Hello? Able to hear me? Hello? Hello? Is anyone able to hear me?
Yeah. Some questions are there.
I'm not able to see, ma'am.
There are some questions.
Chatsler? Chatsler, come on.
No, there are good. Yes, sir. We can hear you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Chat பார்க்க முடியல. How to set trigger limit in MACWET ventilator in trigger setting from -20 to 10?
See, it usually depends upon the maker's things. For example, what happens? I mostly use a dragger. Dragger trigger sensitivity is -1 to +1. So we generally go by trigger of 0.5 to 1 liters. Okay, so it has to be based on the settings. You have to go to the catalog and just have to check it out. What is the ideal thing? It's a minimal thing. You have to set it, and then you have to adjust based upon how it's picking up by seeing your graphics. And this trigger, it's asked most in case of TCPL mode. Generally, it doesn't ask in case of your PSV and access control mode. PSV doesn't ask it in case of MACway. SAME AC level it will not ask usually. It when the TCP level is asked usually.
What is concept of clockwise and anti-clockwise PV loop?
It's based upon how do you clockwise is it's falling down. Okay, your compliance is very poor. Right? For change in pressure, what happens? The change in volume is going to be less. Whereas anti-clockwise is moving in other directions. Once it improves, it starts improving. So moving to the left, moving to the right. So the poor it is, it moves to the right, falls to the x-axis. As the compliance improves, it moves to your left side.
That's it, Prakash. I think no more doubts. Thank you so much.
Thanks, ma'am.
For the exhaustive thing.
Okay, ma'am. Bye, ma'am.
Bye.